dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I am Keaton Hall. The flood did not only reach downtown main streets, but also hollows in the region. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox details how a local church partnered with ATV groups to deliver supplies in rural areas.
Volunteers gathered at a parking lot right off of Highway 80 in Hazard with one goal.
We know that there's parts of the counties that people can't get to with supplies they can't get out because the roads are gone. So we just put a Facebook post out, we did a Zoom call, and asked for people to come and help.
ATV riders from across the region answered, gathering water, cleaning supplies, and whatever else they could grab to take to the hollows.
We can cross creeks where other four-wheel drives can't cross creeks. We can go up some hollers, some of the roads that others can't get to, so we come to help.
The group split up into pods to drive through different counties, stopping wherever they saw a flood victim.
Yes, Hannah, that's good right there. Yeah, there you go. I appreciate it.
No problem. We try to help the community out as much as possible, and when other counties call and request help, we put the word out, and most of our members will join right in to go help out other people.
They stocked up supplies from Gospel Light Baptist Church, filling up their ATVs as much as they could, making sure they had plenty to give.
Here's some diapers.
8 to 14 pounds.
8 to 14 pounds, Linda.
We just felt like that we could do a little bit more and try to get the supplies out to the people in the different counties that are affected.
Using creativity to take pressure off a painful wound. In Perry County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Fugit says Gospel Light Church is still serving as a temporary shelter for flood victims, and they currently have over 50 people staying there. From preparing home-cooked meals to handing out supplies, the Mayking Fire Department in Letcher County has received help from all over the Commonwealth and beyond. And thanks to the generosity of local and statewide organizations, the Mayking Fire Department is offering free showers, laundry services, and purified water to the people of Letcher County.
Just having somewhere for someone to come and get a hot meal, take a nice warm shower, and do their laundry so they can feel fresh, it's what we need to do for the citizens of this place.
Those with the Mayking Fire Department say these are just some of the many services they're happy to offer to people in their time of need. If you're willing to help the department's efforts, they say they are in need of volunteers. Folks gathered in Lexington Saturday evening to raise money for flood relief here in the mountains. The Hell or High Water fundraising event was created by West 6 Brewing and Kentucky for Kentucky. It includes music, food, drinks, and shopping. Tony and Ann with Kentucky for Kentucky say West 6 Brewing came to them with this idea. Both of them, along with Sav's Chill, will be donating all the proceeds to the Eastern Kentucky Mutual Fund.
Anytime we can get something like this together where we've got people coming and, acting as a community to help, the other community in Eastern Kentucky, I think that's directly impactful.
Officials say they're grateful that West 6 Brewing reached out to them to help host this special event. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet says they're moving to the next phase of flood relief. They're now helping to coordinate widespread debris removal from state and local right-of-ways. They're partnering with Ashbrit, a disaster relief company. The contract does not cover regular household trash and recyclables or bag debris of any kind. They will pick up vegetation, construction material, appliances, and other dangerous and hazardous waste. So far, they've already collected more than 400 loads of debris. ARH has been raising money and collecting donations for employees and other flood survivors in eastern Kentucky. Grayson Passmore shares one of their unbelievable stories of survival.
We got little bags, put little drawstring bags on their backs, got just a few personal items. I had to think quickly because it was so fast, and by the time we left our house, the water was over halfway up our steps.
Leanne McIntyre and her family were asleep in their Perry County home the night of the flood. Her mom drove over, waking them up quickly, but the water was rising just as fast.
By the time I got dressed and got to the front porch, the water was in the driveway, and within 5 minutes we saw my car float off down the road.
McIntyre knew they had to get to high ground somehow, even in the dead of night.
Start climbing up the mountain. You know, we had to somewhat crawl because the ground was so wet. You couldn't just walk. We were falling, and but we had a neighbor's house that was high up, and we went to their house, and they hosted us for that whole night and the rest of the next day till the waters went down, till we could get out.
As McIntyre climbed to safety, with her 11 and 9-year-old by her side, she wondered if the water would ever stop rising.
Being a parent, you're trying to keep your kids calm and stay a positive attitude, but then you're watching everything you work hard for just kind of float away.
Trying to distract her kids from what McIntyre recalls as the scariest part of that night.
It was dark, and I guess as things were hitting the power poles and the power lines, they were crack and spark. And so in silence of a night and in the darkness, you could just hear it random places and throughout the community.
Thankful to be alive, as reality started to sink in the light of the next day.
That house, my mom actually brought me home from the hospital to that house. So that I kind of somewhat grew up in that house and had that house ever since in my adult life.
Now it's a total loss. On the side of that mountain, the McIntyres watched everything they've worked for float away.
You know, it's not the future we planned, but it's the future we're given, and I think everybody just has to make the best of what we have, you know.
ARH is still collecting and delivering donations. McIntyre says her company has been so helpful to her and her family during this time.
Beautiful weather continues across the mountains into tonight. Let's take a live look over in Whitesburg. Current temperature is sitting at 65 degrees under a partly cloudy sky. Really beautiful conditions continue across our area, and high temperatures on Saturday, lower 80s, about 5 degrees below average for this time of the year. 82 in Somerset, 81 in Prestonsburg, 80 for Pikeville, and 83 over in London. Temperatures tonight in the upper 60s for most of us, 69 in Pikeville, 65 for Manchester, 68 over in Somerset, and 71 over in Jackson. Up on Pinpoint Doppler, all is quiet across the mountains tonight, a clean sweep, but we are watching out for some showers to return, especially into your Sunday and also into your next work week. I have that full forecast coming up in just a little bit. Keaton.
Thanks, Cameron. More students across the country are returning to school next week, but school districts nationwide are struggling to get enough bus drivers behind the wheel. The shortage being felt nationwide, with 86% of schools saying they don't have enough applicants despite offering pay incentives, training, and flexible scheduling. This is putting more pressure on parents.
To go to the elementary school, take that child home, and then come back to the middle school and the high school, and they both get out at the same time.
The lack of drivers is forcing some schools to scrap or reduce routes, change start times, and get creative. In some school districts, principals, athletic directors, and superintendents are getting a commercial driver's license to help out. With school underway in a lot of districts here, doctors are reminding parents to make sure kids are up to date on vaccines, especially with what could be a more severe flu season. Dr. Adam Keating with Cleveland Clinic Children says it's important for kids to get a flu shot each year. He says COVID-19 vaccines are also the best way to protect against that virus. He recommends parents make an appointment with their child's doctor if they've fallen behind on vaccinations or regular checkups during the pandemic.
It's worth remembering that people are behind on their preventative care in general right now, and that there's more reasons to visit your pediatrician every year than just immunizations. We want to look at your growth and development. We want to do our screenings to look at mental health and social situations and be able to help out with a complete set of advice.
Look at the camera.
Dr. Keating says data from the Southern Hemisphere shows it could be a heavier flu season this winter. With a severe flu season possibly on the horizon, the CDC has still relaxed its COVID guidelines. Some of the moves they made Thursday include dropping requirements for social distancing, as well as quarantining for exposed people. Jeremy Tom spoke with a Lexington doctor about the latest on this virus and others.
Dr. Jeff Fox says this is still a fluid situation that could see further changes, particularly as Kentucky children go back to school.
We don't know what's going to happen when all the kids go back to school. And are we going to see a bigger surge, or are we going to see a new variant?
But at this time, he believes the CDC has likely made the right choice with its latest guidance. Those choices include no longer having to test to screen for the virus among those without symptoms, and quarantine of exposed persons is not recommended. The organization also dropped social distancing and other guidelines, all moves which Dr. Fox says will be more compatible with our lifestyles.
We're into what I would call the chronic phase where we have learned to manage it.
Dr. Fox still recommends that people wear masks in high-risk situations. But with other viruses like monkeypox arriving in the Commonwealth, his concern is not just focused on COVID anymore.
As a physician, I worry about what is going to be the next pandemic, what is going to be the next virus. We've got one coming. It's just a question of what it's going to be.
Doctors are predicting a strong flu season, so he implores parents to get their children vaccinated to reduce their risks with a variety of viruses.
I do think because people aren't wearing masks as much, not only flu is easier to catch, but any type of disease is easier to catch.
In Lexington, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
Dr. Fox also discussed the recent detections of polio in New York. He says while he's hopeful the incidents are isolated, he believes one of the reasons we're seeing that virus come back is due to people's lack of vigilance when it comes to getting vaccinated. Coming up at 11, one 4-year-old boy has found a way to help flood victims from his hometown of Winchester.
And all is quiet across the mountains tonight, but some showers and storms are possible on Sunday. I have that full forecast coming up.